The views and opinions on the Craig L. Hayes Show do not necessarily reflect those of Westgate Resorts ownership or management. And now, on with the show. This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.
All right, welcome everybody. We're back to the show. Craig L. Hayes here at the Craig L. Hayes Show. We're here with Jeff Redinger, and we're going to go over some more showbiz stuff here from the Westgate Resort, Las Vegas, in Elvis Presley's dressing room in the International Theater. And we're going to keep on doing the showbiz thing. Jeff's been in show business his whole life. I've been in it, well, since I was 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it was, when Grandpa taught me how to carry a light or whatever it was. So, been in it around my whole life too. So, we're going to keep on going there. So, Jeff, we left off, can't remember, where did we leave off with?
Geez, I don't know. We're somewhere backstage at the Las Vegas Hilton.
Okay, let's keep on going on that. So, you're here. Let's keep on going. So, you worked with some amazing talent. Isn't the greatest thing in this business? We get paid to see the best entertainers in the world.
Indeed, and we're very fortunate. We've over the years we've not only made friends with a lot of these people, personal friends, but to see them working on stage and then have a drink with them off stage is kind of special.
Yeah,
not everybody gets to do that. And one of the things that was always pretty cool about this place is, for the most part, if you were cool about it, you could bring your friends or family back here to sit backstage and watch the show from back there. And that's the highlight of their life, to come back. We live here. This is our job. This is kind of like where we go to work. But for people who aren't in the business, to come backstage and watch a show from back here is very, very special.
yes.
I have a very personal, cool anecdote about just such a thing. My dad, when my parents first moved out here from New York, in the 1980 or so, I brought my dad backstage to meet Bill Cosby, who was appearing on the stage. And the opening act was Sister Sledge.
Oh, wow.
So I've got my dad in the stage left wing down there, looking over this other lady's shoulder at the Sister Sledge singing We Are Family and all their popular hits. And my dad strikes up a conversation with this lady in the wings, not knowing that she's the kid's mother.
Oh,
So
man. Okay.
it was Flo Sledge he was having a conversation with. My father was a very, very simple guy, never had anything to do with any of this stuff. Wasn't really impressed that I was doing it either. Why don't you get a real job? But on that particular night, he's standing down by the stage manager's desk, and he's looking at the little monitor down there that had a camera view of the front of the stage. And a guy comes up and taps him on the shoulder. And my father turns around, and there's Bill Cosby in his face. He got a light, and he's got a nice big cigar hanging out of his mouth. My father was a smoker. He was reaching in his pocket to pull out a pack of matches, trying to light a match, and his hand's shaking so much he almost lit Bill Cosby's nose. So Bill grabbed his hand, thinking he was a stagehand. Bill grabbed his hand and guided the flame toward his cigar, and on he went and did his act. And that's how my father met Bill Cosby. So Bill comes off stage, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to bring my dad down to the dressing room to meet Bill." And he said, "Sure, bring him on down." Bill did a routine about all children have brain damage. You tell children not to do something, they do it. You ask them why, they said they don't know. He said, "That's brain damage." So he did a whole 20-minute skit on this. So we're in the dressing room. I walk down in there with my dad, and the very first thing Bill Cosby says to my father, he points at me and says, "Are you responsible for this brain damage?" Probably the funniest thing my father ever heard anybody say.
Oh, wow.
And for whatever reason, I can't explain it, they hit it off. He and Bill hit it off. And he told me to get lost. He was going to talk to my father for a while. And after that, anytime Bill was here in the hotel, he'd come up to me. My father's name was Fred. He'd say, "Where's Fred?" And I said, "He's home." He said, "Go get him." Make me go out to the house and get my father and bring him
back to the show.
so he could say hello to him. I don't know if it was just a joke or whatever it was, but they became very, very close. And the anecdote finishes with one day I'm over at one of the fights I was working on, one of the title fights, and Bill's sitting ringside. And I walk over, "Hey, Bill, how's it going?" He said, "Hey, where's Fred?" I said, "He's at home." He goes, I can't go get him. He goes,
Not this time.
"Call him on the phone." So I call him on the brick phone at the time.
Oh, wow.
My father answers the phone, and Bill takes the phone out of my hands and says, "Hey, Fred, how much money you got?" And my father, in his typical New York attitude, said, "Who the hell is this?" And he says, "Bill Cosby, I'm a little short of cash. I want you to get a little bet down on this fight." I could hear my father laughing through the phone, telling Bill something like, "Hey, I'll meet you at your bank in the morning. We'll swap accounts." How's that? So that's one of the beauties of working backstage. That's a great story. And my father called everybody he knew in New York to tell him that Bill Cosby had called him and asked him for a loan. So it's one of those.
That doesn't happen very often, does it?
No, it does not. But those are the kind of memories that I have from those kind of things.
Yeah.
We're fortunate. And in Liberace, there has never been or will never be a nicer guy in the business to work for. He did so many things for so many people, not for publicity, but out of the goodness and kindness of his heart. He was just really good like that.
Yeah, that's what Steve was saying too earlier about him, and he's just very giving, and he's a people person. He just loved people.
There's a lot of Liberace anecdotes I have from over the years, but he invited my parents to come and have lunch at his house.
Nice.
And he cooked and served lunch for them at his house right over here off of Tropicana one afternoon. And they spent the whole day just talking with him, just regular folks, and it changed my father's attitude about me and show business.
Yeah, show business wasn't so bad, was it?
It didn't suck quite as much as he thought it did. But that's one of the particular Liberace things that was really cool.
That's a great story there.
Yeah.
That's a couple great stories there. What other entertainers here at the hotel did you have close interactions with and you like, and you just enjoyed watching their show, how they did their shows?
Here's those 4 words. Back in the day, we had a softball league. Stagehands from the show crews had the softball leagues. And Tony Orlando would come to town, and he'd say, "Okay, I hear you guys are playing softball." So we'd get together, play the house crew against Tony Orlando's crew. Out at Sunset Park at 3 o'clock in the morning, we get the guys to light the place up. After second show, we go out there, pull open a keg of beer, and play softball until the sun came up. And Tony was always really good like that, really, really good like that, with hanging out with the guys, really good like that. So many of those entertainers, not so much here, but a lot of entertainers are a little standoffish. But here in this place, they almost became like your road family. They're comfortable to be around you. They know you're the crew. They see you every night. They know you're not coming up to them for photos and autographs and all that kind of stuff. They come and hang out. So Steve Lawrence used to come back and have a drink in the stage manager's office. There were quite a few like that. There's some Doug Henning. There's a name from the past. Doug Henning was the magician of all musicians before David Copperfield was even around. And there's a great anecdote there that I'll tell you, because this is a good one. Doug used to close his show with a routine called Things That Go Bump in the Night. And basically they wheeled the cube out on the stage, folded all 4 sides of this cube down, empty, folded it back up, pinned it down to the deck, and people and objects used to begin appearing out of this empty cube. So the finale of the show, of that act, was timpani roll. Doug would get into the box, close the box up, timpani roll the box downstage, fold it down. There's a 650-pound Bengal tiger in the box. Pretty amazing all in itself, until the tiger ate oleanders one night between shows and was not going to do the illusion. So here's 6 stagehands trying to cram a tiger into a tube that he doesn't want to go in, and he's swatting us off like flies. Here comes Bill Cosby around the back of the psych, getting ready to go on. And he says, "Hey, what's going on?" I say, "Hey, Bill, cat's not going to do the trick." He goes, "Go get me a Playboy magazine and a flashlight." So we run into the prop room and get a Playboy magazine and a flashlight, and Bill Cosby runs down the tunnel and into the box. Doug Henning doesn't know this. Doug Henning's about to appear out in the front of house magically and introduce the tiger. So the timpani roll, the sides of the box go down, and there's Bill Cosby with a flashlight in his mouth, sitting profile, looking at a centerfold of a Playboy magazine. If I ever wanted a picture of somebody's face, it would have been Doug Henning's face at that moment.
He had to be, what the?
He was exactly what the. Yeah, he was exactly what the. And he looks off at us, and he looks back at Bill, and it's like, oh, well, I guess this is okay.
This works too.
So the audience doesn't know that this is part of the routine. They thought this was the greatest way for Bill Cosby to make an entrance. So that's how a pro turns a problem into a magical surprise. It's a true story. It's a real true story.
And the fun part about that is, Bill just had a blast, just freaking everybody out like that.
Sure. He was great like that. He'd play with the crew. He had an ongoing beef with Don Filippo, and he'd sit in front of, as many of you might know, he'd sit in front of a curtain, sit in the chair and do his routine. And he had sniffles one night, and he was looking for a trash can to put his Kleenexes in. And Filippo put his arm through the traveler and gave him an ice bucket, a plastic Hilton showroom ice bucket. Bill did 5 minutes on, here I am in $1 million hotel. I asked for a trash can. I get an ice bucket. To which Don Filippo answered, parting the traveler and rolling a Dipsy dumpster right out onto the stage with Bill Cosby. And Bill looks over and goes, that's a trash can. Funny stuff like this happened all the time.
Live shows, theaters, man.
Live theater. That's why people love Broadway and live theater, man. There's no re-racking it and doing it over. You got what you got.
And that's why I don't do edits on this show.
Yeah, no, that's a true story. Several of my friends can verify this. People that were there that night. A lot of funny stuff happened back here.
And that's what I like the live stuff. I that's all I've done for 44 years.
Yeah. It's funny stuff happens here.
Yeah. Anybody else you can think of? You guys had this place had some of the most. Juliet Prowse was here.
I was. We were here. Juliet Prowse was opening for Andy Williams. The night of the fire. The fire at the MGM had happened a couple months before. This was in November of, I want to say 1980. And
in November 1980 was the MGM, and then it was February. It was in February. Here.
So Juliet's out on stage, coincidentally doing a Fever with a flaming fan behind her. And the other thing, we see things going. I'm up on the rail, 25 feet above the deck, and I'm looking down and say, okay, something's going on down there, and people are scurrying all over the place. They had already evacuated the Hilton showroom, and they had already evacuated the casino so that the people from the showroom wouldn't rush out and overwhelm the casino. So Dick Lane, the entertainment director, walks on stage, interrupts Juliet, says, Juliet, sorry to interrupt you, but we've got a little bit of an incident going on here. If you'd all kindly, make your way to the rear of the showroom, the security will take you out. People in the showroom didn't know the hotel was on fire. Very shortly after that, I go out the back door with Andy Williams on one arm, and Nathan Miller's right behind me with Juliet Prowse on his arm, and we all walk out calmly out of the back door of the Hilton just in time to watch some really bad things happening here in the hotel.
That was an amazing fire too.
Yeah,
because I grew up just on the other side of the golf course behind the hotel, down one of the streets, and right down our street was the East Tower.
Yeah,
you could look right at it there, and I was like, well, isn't that something? Because I was working at the MGM when it burned. We were building Jubilee.
Yeah.
And then 3 months later, I'm pulling into my driveway, and I look up there and like, well, doesn't that beat all?
Yeah. We were all building Jubilee. Everybody went and worked in the shops at night after work. That was another place you went to make extra money, was in the shops, building scenery. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Juliet Prowse, the consummate professional, not just a beautiful dancer, but a beautiful person. Very, 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 very lovely like that. And Margaret, another one, always came up, said hello to the boys backstage, before she went on. Very approachable, really nice.
Yeah, you guys had some. I put together a list of all the ones that I've worked over the years, and it was like almost 200 or something like that, different performers. Yeah. And I'm like, really? Was there that many?
Yeah, there were.
With about 18,000 shows that I've done.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it's hard to quantify that much stuff.
Yeah, and got paid to see every one of them.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It was great.
Yeah, you can't argue on that one. So didn't have to pay the $100 or $2 or $3, whatever. So yeah. So you any other entertainers you want to talk about that You did Engelbert here too.
Yeah, we did Engelbert.
Yeah, I remember Engelbert because we loaded him in and out a few times here. I remember that. And
Engelbert was he knew how to work an audience. Not so much working a crew, but he knew how to work an audience. Yeah. The guy was let's say, he was sometimes difficult, and then other times very congenial. You know, I don't know why. Not my business, but we had a lot of people here that were really good. And off the top of my head right now, to name all of them for you would be kind of tough. But
yeah,
I'm giving you the highlights here a little bit.
But Andy Williams was amazing one.
Another super nice guy.
I told Steve earlier about, and we did one of his last Christmas shows. You know, he would always do a Christmas Eve show. You know, and he 24th of December we're doing a show at 8:00 at night, and you know, the full Andy Williams show, basically, with all the specialty acts and the songs and all that stuff. And I'm standing backstage over here on stage right with him and talking with him, and I can see he's just not right. You know, he's a little off. And it's like 8 months later he died.
Yeah, he was a nice man.
He was fighting cancer, but one very nice guy to talk to and hang out with backstage.
Yeah, Neil Sedaka, another sweetheart.
Never worked with him, but
great guy. And you know, you don't know how many hit songs he had until he starts rattling them off one after another. And we had Anka here, like I said, for quite a few times as well. And you know, you kind of like they start to run together. We had a regular stable of stars that rotated in and out of here for a long time, and occasionally you'd throw in a new one. This place never rocked as well since Elvis Presley as when Gloria Estefan and Miami Sound Machine were here. She tore this place up. She was great. So was Donna Summer. So was Natalie Cole. We actually premiered the very first time that Natalie sang the duet with her dad, with a video screen behind her.
Oh, awesome!
Of her sitting on her dad's lap while they sang "Unforgettable" together.
That's cool.
What a moment!
That's, you know, those are the highlights in the business that you know, when you see something done. You know, we've been around. You've done thousands of shows too. But when you see it done right and you watch it and you go, there it is. Yeah, that's how it's done, right there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, these people could light up a stage, man. They really could.
Yeah, Natalie Cole. She was here a few times with us, and she decided she wanted to get a little bit, you know, happy and jump around on stage and stuff. So, you know, our floor up there is that EPG. It's the epoxy floor, and so she kicked off her shoes. And she started jumping around. Feet went right out from underneath her, and boom, landed right on her butt. And it's like, because she had lotion on her feet.
Yeah.
So it was like grease on glass.
Yeah.
And, you know, and everyone was freaking out to me and going, what can we do to stop that? I go, well, tell her not to take her shoes off. She'll be fine. Yeah. You know, but there's nothing you can do. You put grease on glass and you try to run across it, you're going down.
Going to slide.
Yeah.
Another sweetheart that was a regular here was Gladys Knight.
Oh, yeah.
When Gladys Knight and the Pips took the stage, there was a party going on right here because she was electric, still is. Still out there doing it. She's still good. We had the Tops and the Temptations. We'd have Motown night. We'd have Tops and Temptations, and then Temptations and Tops, and you know. And when we had NFR, we'd have Charlie Daniels. We went along with it. We had the Winona, the Judds here. You know, they went along with NFR. Hilton kind of kept abreast of what was happening. You know, not politically, but in the entertainment industry that was really happening at the time.
Yeah. And
they were able to Dick Lane book some really good acts here.
And this place was so smart with NFR back when, you know, when it was real Hilton. You know, I say real Hilton when it was corporate Hilton. Right. When it was the real Hilton, and Barron was the guy, and he was around, and he was around here a lot.
We saw him occasionally backstage. Yeah.
And before, you know, because it franchised later down the road, it franchised off to Colony Capital, and it became still was Las Vegas Hilton, but it was a Colony Capital owned it. It was a franchise. Yeah. But back then, you know, when they started doing the NFR, and this place I think was one of the first that figured it out after the first rodeo week. They went, next year we're going to do it a little different. Mm-hmm. And they started doing those parties after Western the shows out there in the ballrooms and stuff. It would go
Set those
till
up too.
they'd go till 5, 6 in the morning. You know, the Cowboys would get out of seeing the Judds or Charlie Daniels. Now what are we going to do? Well, we got a party going on out here, and
Yep, kept them in the casino.
kept them in the casino, kept them in the hotel. It was like smart, just brilliant.
We
you
must
know?
have set up that Western town 100 times.
And it's bring it in, bring the money in, just keep going. And it was a different mentality than, you know, a lot of these hotels have today. This when it was real Hilton, it was like just have something going all the time somewhere in the hotel and multiple things going or whatever, you know. And all it did for us is just, well, you're going to be working here, and now you got to get out there and help out there and then get back and do that, you know. So
Yeah, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention having Wayne Newton on the stage for quite a while. I flew that spaceship in quite several times.
yeah.
He was no rain, no Wayne. If you had the rain curtain from MacArthur Park and you had the spaceship, you had all the bells and whistles all in one show.
Yep. Yeah, then he's a good guy too, man. You know, I enjoyed working with him backstage. Him and I got along so good.
He's another one that invite the boys down to the dressing room for a drink.
Yep.
He was good like that.
Yeah, and, I happened to say, I was driving by your house with my kids the other day, man. Those horses are looking gorgeous out there, because you had, you know, all the big
Arabians, yeah.
Arabians out there. And he's like, well, Craig, stop by and say hi and have the kids hang out with us.
He's good like that.
I was like, I go, Wayne, you know, you guys need your privacy and
I have
time, man. You know.
I'll give you a quick Wayne Newton anecdote. We were doing the Victor Awards, Baron Hilton's favorite charity for
Yep.
City of Hope, and Wayne was hosting. And they had a kid on there, a young girl who had lost a leg to cancer or something like that. And she was a skier and a horseback rider and all that kind of stuff. So Wayne is talking to the kid on stage, and the kid is all gaga because she's talking to Wayne Newton. And he says something to her like, so if you could have one wish, what would it be? And she goes, boy, I'd sure like to have a horse. And Wayne whistles out, and on stage comes a white Arabian that he gave her with care and feeding for the life of the animal. Not a dry eye in the house. That kind of stuff, that's priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the amazing part of the business we're in.
yeah, and that stuff doesn't make the papers. You know, that kind of stuff doesn't make the papers. Unfortunately, the negative stuff makes the papers. The positive stuff doesn't sell.
Yeah.
But he was very, very generous like that. Wayne was really good like that.
Yeah, Victor Awards were pretty cool. You know, all those sports stars hanging out on stage.
I got a lot of photos from those days.
I bet you do.
I got a ton of photos from those days.
On stage, okay, verify what I'm going to say. Basketball players are the biggest people on the planet.
Indeed.
I mean, I've stood with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he was tall and amazing and stuff like that. Then I stood next to Shaq, and I looked like a midget.
Yeah.
They're both the same height,
Yeah.
but Shaq is a monster.
That's 200 pounds
huge.
versus 300 pounds. Yeah.
Couldn't believe. I was like, well, that's yeah. You know, playing basketball, you can't move this guy.
Yeah. We have, you know, like random, and they were all pretty good about it, you know. But this is before cell phones, so if you needed a picture, you had to have a real camera and have it ready to take a snapshot. So, but I got a bunch of them.
That's awesome.
Marvin Hagler, I got a great photo with Marvin Hagler receiving a Victor Award, receiving his award. Tons of them. They're just, Richard Dawson was the host of a lot of these shows, and he was very funny. He was a great host, always comical. Yeah, there's photos there when my hair and beard were all the same color, and not the color it is now.
Yeah, I'm lucking out so far. Mine's still pretty brown. You know?
I gave up on white hair. Forget it.
Yeah, you just don't care. Mine's falling out a little bit, and I'm like, I don't care. So, this place had some magical stuff going on in it, though, and I don't know. I've been gone 8 months. I'm sure it still does. You know?
Yeah, it still does. I mean, you know, we've obviously miss having you around, but it carries on.
Nope, nothing stops it. The show must go on no matter who's at the helm.
I kind of like what they're doing now and bringing some of the old artists back and, you know, putting them out there again. And, you know, it's nice to see an 83-year-old guy up there singing like he's 40, you know, and still belting it out.
Yeah, Because which show did you come to see? You saw
I just saw Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Okay, yeah,
weeks ago.
yeah. I didn't get to see that one. I'd have loved to come and see that one, but yeah.
Yeah, just not that long ago, we came saw Little River Band here too, and they were really good.
Yes.
So it's when you get to 72 years old, you like to reflect back on things that you know the lyrics to.
Is that you're 72 now?
Yeah,
Someone asked me, and I said he's got to be 70,
I'll be 72 shortly.
whatever, you know.
Downhill side of 71, let's say.
So you're about 9 years older than me, so yeah. So what else? Anything else in this place before we move on to other places you got to do some work in, and then get into the part where you started doing more of the commercial industrial stuff, and then into the realm of owning your own company. And
Yeah, well, everything that I do now, I'd say a vast majority of that, I still reflect on experiences from this stage. Things I learned here, principles I learned here, apply to a lot of the things that we now do in the corporate world. Because what has happened is theater has become a part of corporate entertainment. Private shows for major companies now employ theater. They've gone away from the talking head, talking to a bunch of people, who have to listen to them because they're employees, to people who like to be there because they're going to see somebody famous. And that's the part of the industry that we're in right now.
did you notice that change somewhere around the 90s, mid 90s and stuff? Because I started seeing it here in the keynotes, because we always did keynotes.
Yeah, exactly. My timing for whatever luck I had there was perfect. When I kind of left here, the corporate entertainment market was really starting to emerge, and I went with it. I happened to be there at the right time, and having somebody with a lot of theater, actual on stage, experience, versus somebody that walks into an arena and hangs the motors and hangs the trusses and hanging the lighting. All that is important too, but having the theater background makes a difference, because a stagehand knows what a theater is supposed to look like, whether it's in a theater or in a convention center.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. That's the difference between some of the, not to be defamatory, but some of the newer people in our business never have worked on a real stage.
Okay, I'm gonna touch on that just real quick. I've worked on the bounce a little bit, in here. 'Cause I did call and say, hey, you want to come over and help us? We're gonna do a trust party. Where at? Oh, right here in the North Hall. Sure, I'll come on over. Spend next 4 or 5 hours building trust. And you hear guys in there, yeah, it's good being a stagehand. And I go, oh yeah, what stage you work on?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, no, I do convention stuff. I don't want to be on a stage. So you're not a stagehand. You're a convention tech.
Mm. It's like that dying breed of flymen.
Yeah. And I've had riggers sit there and try to tell me that, oh yeah, working on a fly rail's easy. Oh, is it really? I go, let me explain something to you right now. All flymen are riggers, but not all riggers are flymen.
That's the line I use all the time.
Yeah. And I said, if you're a top end flyman, there's nothing you can't rig. But if you're a top end rigger, you're gonna have to learn a lot to be a flyman.
Yeah, front line in, back line out. You got to start there.
Yeah, and especially on this guy, compound system. It's not a 1-to-1. It's
Tell me about it.
variables.
It was my nemesis for a long, long time.
There's so many variables on that thing up there. You better be right, and stuff. So, but no, it's like you're saying. I'm not trying to disparage people in our industry that work in the convention area, but it's guys, like you said, guys that work in a showroom can go into the convention areas and look at something and go, this doesn't look right, and it's not being presented right.
The masking is not good. There's bad sight lines.
This is off. We have to
things that
fix
drive
this.
theater people crazy.
Yeah, and you can see it in 2 seconds. You walk in and go, oh, golly, man. We got some fixing to do here.
And not to disparage the up and coming guys, because their technical skills and their computer skills are beyond anything I would ever be able to do. It's a different application it's I guess it's a different mechanical world than it used to be.
Yeah.
We were ropes and pulleys guys.
Yep. And these guys are, electronics and everything else. So
We didn't have moving lights when I worked here.
no, it's that's a whole new phenomenon that started in the mid '80s and stuff like that. It started showing up on stages, but yeah, it's really interesting. So you're out there doing the industrials like we were talking about. You started doing that more after you left this place, and any of the big shows. Oh, that was what I was going to tell you. You're talking about the showbiz side. It started becoming entertaining, and that's what it was here when in the '90s, about '95 or so. Started seeing a whole bunch more of like Intel, Microsoft, Bill Gates. We used to do all of them up here on the stage on the keynotes for CES, and they would go out there and they would talk a little bit, but all of a sudden it started rolling into Tom Cruise would walk out there and present a product and talk to him about it, or Robin Williams, or Conan O'Brien would walk out there and they set actually for Microsoft, they set up the Late Show with Conan O'Brien there, and he walks out there and starts talking and says, "My first guest tonight is going to be Bill Gates." And they come out there, and Bill Gates comes out there, and they sit down. They start talking about the new products from Microsoft, and he goes, "And you got something right back here, right? And we're going to see something." He goes, "Yeah." They hit it, and it popped up, said "system failure." Oh.
Perfect.
And then, so they're like, "Well, we'll get back to that in a minute here." And so they're going through a few more minutes. They're just talking about, Microsoft. And they said, "Oh, what's that? We got it?" "Oh," they said they have it. It popped up and said system failure again. He goes, Conan, of course, looks at him and goes, "And 25 people just got fired." And then he looks at Bill Gates and says, "Do you have anything that works?"
Wow.
And
Can't make that up.
because, you step into the ring with these comedians, something happens, they're going to run.
Yeah. It's what they do.
It's what they do. It's and I'm sitting off the side stage going, "Oh, this is painful."
One of the
ouch.
Yeah, one of the things when I left the hotel and started bounce, we call it the bounce. We did a lot of film work too. A lot of film work. At one time we were doing a movie. We were going from movie to movie to movie to movie. Like I rigged the stunt that killed Captain Kirk in one of the Star Trek movies.
Oh, did you really? Out there at Valley of Fire?
Valley of Fire.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah, we rigged the stunt that killed Captain Kirk. not a glory job in the Valley of Fire in June. It was a little rough out there.
Yeah, that's what I heard, because they would, we had Starlight Experience, Star Trek Experience
Built
here.
that too.
And the cast from the movie would come here, and the shows, they'd all come in and out of here and stuff. And it was some good stuff. It was.
It's you talk about finding people when they're at their most vulnerable. It's actors on set, on location, who are the only good thing they've got going for them is if they mess it up, they get to do it over. You don't get to do that in theater.
No.
So that was a little bit of an awakening. How many times are we going to shoot this scene here?
Yeah. There's no mulligans in live theater, man. So, Jeff, we've come to the end of the second one, and we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. Then we'll be back for another episode and keep going here with Jeff Redinger on Showbiz, our lives behind the scenes. And until then, we'll be right back. Talbot, take it.
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.